Welcome back to the 26-minute show. I'm Josh. You can call me Banks. And I'm joined today by writer and podcaster Joe Yerdon. Joe, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to be able to stop in and visit you guys.
Yeah. This is your first time here. It's our first time meeting.
Yeah. It's wow. Been here for years, but we still haven't met everybody.
I know. Hey, listen. I hear that. So we'll jump right into it. We like to keep it pretty loosey goosey here, but for those that may not know, I would be hard pressed to think that anybody in the Buffalo sports, especially Buffalo hockey community, wouldn't know who you are by this point. But tell us a little about who is Joe Yerdon.
Well, I've been in Buffalo 10 years now.
Yeah,
2013-14 was my first season here, which I'm happy to see the team get it turned around because a lot of people were starting to point fingers at me why things were going so poorly. But no, been 10 years here and working with Bleacher Report now on the Turner side, so TNT, all that fun stuff.
Very cool.
Doing my occasional work for AP, wearing a lot of hats. Also started notedhockey.com a couple of years ago to do a lot of my Sabres writing and coverage there, as well as some other NHL stuff that maybe Bleacher Report is like, hey, that's do something else with that.
Yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
All right,
cool.
So they just don't want it, so you take it and do it yourself.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I follow your Noted Hockey blog, and I mean, it's some of my best insight in terms of what's going on with the team. It's that's where I want to get it from. So, little shout out for that. But so what led you to a career in covering sports, specifically hockey, or you do some stuff with the NFL as well, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But so, are you a hockey guy by trade or?
I am. I've been a hockey fan since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I grew up at the right time to be able to see the Wayne Gretzky Oilers.
Yeah.
See that team just be a offensive circus on ice, and they were so fun to watch. And I grew up outside of Albany.
Okay.
And so it was the perfect TV market to get a lot of different teams.
Yeah, that's true.
TV.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't think of that, but yeah.
We got everybody out of we got Rangers, Islanders, Devils. We got Bruins games too.
Okay.
And then Sabres games started coming in a little bit later on.
Once the Empire Network joined on.
Right. Empire came on board, and then Empire went away, and MSG said, we got you. We're taking it over. So, so it allowed me to watch a ton of hockey, and then grew up with the Glens Falls, up in the Adirondack Red Wings.
Okay.
Playing up north. So a lot of those guys from those dynasty Red Wings teams started up there, and watched them there. The Albany River Rats, there was just hockey.
You got the River Rats,
the RPI engineers in college.
Yep.
Watch Adam Oates and Darren Pupa play when I was a little kid.
Okay, so that's not anything to scoff at. Those are some big names.
It was a lot of stuff, but man, it was so easy to become a hockey fan back in those days. I don't know. I just took it. I never played, but everybody was basketball, baseball, football, everything.
Sure.
But hockey was just the thing I took to.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I obviously I love football. It's my Sunday pastime, and I think for all of us. But I turned it on. My grandfather turned it on for me, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Nice.
And I fell in love with goalie equipment. So what kind of, just growing up around it, or was there a specific event that you remember that kind of got you going into man, this is what I want to do?
There was there were a lot of RPI games as a kid because they were they're cheaper tickets.
Yeah, sure.
College game, and it helped the team was really good.
Yeah,
a lot of really great players on the team.
Yeah. See, Pupa.
Pupa, that gets everybody into it here.
Yeah.
Because he was so good as a Sabre.
Yeah.
And then, but Adam Oates, you get to watch a Hall of Fame level player play at that age, and then get a little bit more down the road.
Sure.
Joey Juneau was playing at RPI.
Oh, okay.
That was really cool.
Man, these are good names.
Yeah, they were able to pull in some really, really good players back in the day.
Yeah.
It was there. I remember there was a preseason game that played in Troy one year, and it was the Red Wings and Rangers, and it was even as a little kid, you noticed the difference in the step up between the pros and college guys, and it was just a whole other speed and right there in the class.
It
was so cool. That, and we'd start getting other preseason games in Albany when they built the arena in 88, 89, whatever it was. And so we started getting like some big time NHL preseason, recent big time NHL
Yeah,
preseason.
well, I mean,
games,
hey, listen.
but I get to watch, Cam Neely and,
Yeah.
and Ron Hextall
Mhm.
playing for Philly. And,
Yep.
Neely and Rick Tocchet are fighting each other all game long. It was great.
Yeah.
Everything about that was so fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. What would you say? So you've been doing this for a while. You've been in
2000, 2009, I think I started professionally.
Yeah. That's incredible. Do you have a moment, whether it was you were at a game or covering a game or during an interview or whatever that stands out to you as like your I don't know if I could say favorite, but like you know what I mean, like the moment that's like, man, that is the moment I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Oh man, I
probably a dozen of them for you.
There's a few. Yeah. I think the first time at the Stanley Cup Finals where I got to cover a Cup Final.
Okay.
It was 2011. It was Boston, Vancouver.
Yeah.
I think it was Game 3 in Boston.
Yep.
And never had, I've covered other playoff games or whatever before, but being there for that though was a whole other level because it was the first Cup Final in Boston since 1990. I want to say, and the team was really good.
Yeah, they were really good,
and it was just a madhouse. And they pulled out all the stops, bringing, they had like flag captains, and it's you're getting Johnny Busick, who's like one of the original like captains of the team. And they're pulling out Bobby Orr for Game 6, and you're like, oh my god,
yeah,
wow, okay, this is incredible.
So they're taking it,
went all in and took it very seriously.
Awesome.
And like I said, I could probably do like a top 10 list, honestly.
I'm sure you could, and I'd probably love to hear every one of them. But that's really cool. So you've been covering the Sabres, you said, since what, 2009, you said?
No, since 2013.
13. Okay, yes, okay, 13. So yeah, all right. You didn't bring it with you.
No,
you're sure.
I walked in and was like, oh,
because
it was never boring.
Lines up.
It was never boring.
No, I'm sure it's not. Yeah,
the amount of stuff that happened the first month I was here, is out of control. Like completely out of control.
So it would have been were you here for January, February?
I was here like October. Well, that January, February I was here for. But I mean, like that October they traded Vanek.
Yep.
They traded him. They traded Vanek the night before. It was Lindy Ruff's first game back as
that's right.
Like after letting him go the year before.
Yep.
He was back in town with Dallas, so they traded Vanek for Molson the night before.
Yeah.
And then I forget if it was before or after that when they fired Ron Ralston, they fired Darcy, and then it was bringing Patty LaFontaine in and Ted Nolan, and it was like, what's going on?
That was a lot of stuff going on.
So much stuff.
That was a busy, man, that was a wild time to be a fan.
I bet.
Yeah. I mean,
crazy trying to cover it. I mean, just being invested in the team, like, oh my God, wow, this is a lot.
That was my first year of season tickets. So I gave them up a couple of years ago, but a few years ago, the year my daughter was born, I gave them up because I didn't have the time or energy. but that was my first full season with season tickets, and I just kept thinking, man, what am I doing? what am I getting myself into right now? But there's never a dull moment as a Sabres fan, that's for sure. So we talked about you didn't bring any curses with you or anything. All right.
No.
As long as we're sure. They were already here. I promise. Your Twitter profile, I've followed you for years and years. Your Twitter profile calls you a noted jerk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming you wrote that yourself.
I did.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I am something of a jerk myself. How do I become a noted? What steps do I need to take? What have you done to earn such a prestigious title?
So the way I earned that was this was while I was working at Pro Hockey Talk for NBC Sports.
Yep.
And one of the stories I always seemed to end up writing about was the Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Situation with their arena and the team, and the ownership, the whole thing.
I couldn't imagine that was any fun.
I found it very entertaining.
Interesting for sure. Yes, entertaining,
absolutely,
but fun. Boy,
it was entertaining because so much of it was like little town politics.
Oh, of course,
nonsense.
Yeah,
like
that's
city council votes about like, well, we're gonna give the team money this year, or are they moving? Like, let's decide. And you have like your public speaking, the public comment period where you have just people. Coyotes jerseys coming in being like, no, you got to keep our team, you got to pay the money, and it's just whole thing was just such a like something out of like a Broadway play.
Oh yeah,
it was wild.
Yeah.
So all I did was like, Pro Hockey Talk, where it was a ton of like aggregation stuff, which I know that stuff's getting talked about now. But like, all we were doing was just writing about what was happening, what was going on, and sprinkling in a little bit of opinion here and there.
Right.
My opinion was like, listen, if they can't figure it out, you probably have to move them.
Yeah, right.
Which was kind of logical.
I mean,
Coyotes fans didn't care for that, and I believe there was at one point where somebody like made like a art design poster of the noted jerks in media.
Oh wow!
Somebody went all in. I applaud them for it. It was, they did a good job.
That's conviction.
It was myself. It was Tony Gallagher with the Vancouver Province.
Okay.
I think it was, and Greg Wyshynski now at ESPN.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I used to
Puck
follow
Daddy back then.
Yes, Puck Daddy. Yep.
And so they made a poster, and Greg goes, "There's only one noted jerk around here. It's me." Because some people started calling me a jerk about things, and I was kind of like, "Yep, that's me over here, big jerk, yep,
you jerk,
total nasty guy." But,
I
had some Chicago friends that were just like, "Yeah, noted jerk over there." And somebody hashtagged it. And I was like, "Okay, here we go." So just run with it. Somebody insults you, just be like, "Nope, you're mine."
Yep. You own it. Exactly right. Like if anybody's going to make anything off of this, it's going to be me.
Right. Yeah, so my whole thing was it was a great inside joke because I'm not really jerky.
You're not. I was going to say you don't really come across that way.
Try not to.
Yeah. I mean,
sometimes people bring it out.
Well, that's a whole different. I mean, we could go into a whole segment about Twitter and. I mean, you get some interesting stuff, I'm sure. Because I get some interesting stuff, and I don't have nearly the followers you have.
It's wild.
Yeah,
that's about as nice as I can say. I'm
sure it is. Yeah, yeah. But I think Buffalo sports media does a pretty good job in general, yourself included, of kind of deflect, like, okay, man, like, or lady, whoever it is, you know, all right,
okay, fans,
yeah, okay, fans, like, just settle down,
right?
Yeah,
it's hard because everybody's so geared up and wired on Bills.
Sure,
stuff, where every win and loss is a big deal.
Yeah,
a very big deal.
It's a different thing with hockey.
Totally different with hockey because there's 82 as opposed to 17.
Yes.
So you can lose a couple in a row. Yeah, it's no fun.
Right.
Nobody likes it. And if they're playing badly, it's like rubbing it in your face. But you can make it back the next day. You can make it back the next week and be right back to normal.
I mean, literally the next night you could blow out whoever you're playing. Right. And everyone forgets that you lost that other game by a late goal that was kind of soft.
Right.
So I couldn't agree more. It's a different animal entirely. Mm-hmm. But that's very, very interesting nonetheless. So leading into or away from hockey, I should say, away from work entirely. What is a day off for you? Because during that 82 game season, you're going. Like you just came from practice. You were probably you weren't at the game last night, I would imagine.
No.
But
would have liked to have been. Would have been nice, but Philly's a haul.
Yeah, it's not a short drive by any stretch. So what is like a day? I mean, I'm assuming your summers are probably a little bit more chill. But what does that look like for you? What do you like to do? What's your stuff?
I'm a big like taking a moment to just breathe.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you can get really caught up in everything that you're doing and getting so locked in. For me, it's about just kind of like taking that free time and then being like, okay, what errands do I have to run?
Yeah.
How much laundry is in the basket that needs to get done? Let's try to take care of that. But it's, as far as like leisure time, it's like, check out a movie. Like, getting to the theater can be kind of tricky to carve out. Like, 2 to 3 hours now, 3.5 hours, I guess.
And
sometimes.
$150, $200 if you're,
Well, yeah, there's that part too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's expensive and a time crunch.
It's a haul. Yeah, sure.
But like movies, TV, like it's can be tough to like keep up on top of anything because if there's a good show, it's like, all right, well, how much of my off day here can I spend to like watch?
Yeah, I guess that would be interesting for you, and you kind of have to, if there's something you are really interested in, whether it be a show or whatever's going on, you kind of have to disconnect during hockey season because finding time. Like, I don't know, do you watch Loki?
When I've got a free moment.
So that's what I mean.
I like to like shows like that, I like to like kind of plow through them.
Right. Yeah, like
Just
get
get
it
it
over with or
Mhm.
wait till the end and like completely disconnect because
Mhm.
otherwise you're sitting on a spoiler mine. Like, it's
If
dangerous.
it's a show I'm really into,
Yeah.
I will figure out a way to watch it right away.
Okay.
Because the last thing I want to do is walk into a spoiler and be like, cool.
Yeah. There
Right,
it goes.
there it
There it
goes.
goes. So what is a show that what are some shows that you're really into? What's your genre?
I've been getting more into like some of the crime ones.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Really big on those. When I was at home, my dad got me into the show Bosch.
Okay.
That was on Amazon.
I'm not even familiar with that.
It's like he's like a police detective,
Okay.
investigator, kind of a tough guy, like whatever. And
Yeah.
it's a total like old guy show.
Sure. Yeah, like
But,
a
my
Matlock
dad liked
kinda
it. I was
deal?
like, you know what? I kind of get into
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, does that mean I'm becoming like the old guy now? Like, I don't know.
Oh man.
But like something like that where I was like, oh, it's actually not bad. But,
Oh yeah.
but then you get things like Shorzy or Letterkenny or something
Yep.
like that, where it's
Yep.
like, okay, I can turn my brain off
Yeah.
for a half hour or however many episodes I watch
Mhm.
and just laugh like an idiot.
That's how I feel about Seinfeld. That's my.
Oh yeah.
It's just. I mean, you don't have to think. It's a show about. It's literally a show about nothing. It's their claim to fame.
It was the perfect concept to just be like
just-
people living their life and just
talking,
like, whatever.
and saying funny things, and you don't have to be dialed in. And if I miss 10 minutes because I doze off or whatever, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So are you into? I think you're into video games too, right? Are you
I
a
am.
gamer?
Yeah. I don't really talk about it a ton.
Okay.
There's no reason.
Sure,
I
right.
try to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a huge dork, so like,
No, hey,
it's
listen.
fine, everybody.
We all are.
So like, what have I been playing lately? I've been playing Starfield
Okay.
a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody was like, it's Skyrim or Fallout 4 in space, I was like, yep, let's go.
Skyrim. Yep.
That one, Assassin's Creed Mirage. I've been playing that one.
So
too.
I did Black Flag was my
Okay.
that was my jam for a long time.
That one's incredible.
Yeah, that's my favorite one, and they've got a couple more that have come out since then, and they're not
Mhm.
like Valhalla didn't do it for me, and I love like Viking Norse mythology and that kind of stuff, and they just didn't do it for me. But Black Flag was incredible.
I felt like I was obligated to tear through Valhalla just because I love the Norse mythology.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, this is still in England? I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But like Origins was incredible.
Yes.
Ancient Egypt, running around there.
Yeah.
Sign me up every stinking time. And Odyssey was awesome too.
Yep.
It was just, there was so much. It feels weird to complain about having too much to do in a game.
Yeah.
But there was kind of that with that.
That's how I feel about Red Dead. I love Red Dead, but it's like, man, I'm only 20% of the way through. I've gone through it twice. I'm like, I still haven't done anything.
It's that's a game that I think I restarted it a second time just to kind of go through.
That's what I did.
Tiny story related.
I mean, there's stuff all over.
Because I was like, no, let's finish the story.
Yeah,
like, the story's that good that you're like,
it really
what
is.
happens next? I gotta go. I gotta know.
Yeah.
But like that one was, that was when that came out. I stopped everything else that I was playing. I was just like, I'm only going to play this.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I had pre-ordered it when it came out. And I had an Xbox at the time. So I pre-ordered it for Xbox, and I went to, and we had a storm. So, and I lived way out in Java at the time.
Okay.
So it came out. I lived in Java, and I had pre-ordered it at the West Seneca GameStop.
Okay.
So I called ahead, and all the roads are shut down. All the 400 was shut down. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Are you guys open?" He's like, "If I can get there, I'll be open." I was like, "Okay," because I have a feeling I'm going to be stuck in my house for a while, and I really want something to do.
Right.
I need something. My wife was working all the time. We weren't even married. Well, we were just married.
Okay.
So I called ahead, and he said, "Yes, we'll be open if we can."
Mm-hmm.
So and then I took all back roads, and it was like a war zone. But I remember I was the only one out driving, and I'm like, if something happens, and God forbid I end up in a ditch or whatever,
right?
I'm gonna feel like such an idiot.
Right.
Why are you out? What are you doing? Like, is somebody hurt? Well, I pre-ordered a video game, and I really need something to do for the next 2 weeks because I'm gonna be stuck in my house.
Right?
Yeah, like.
Come on.
No jury's going to convict, but I'm still not going to feel very great about it. But
but I've been looking for something that's a little bit, maybe a little bit more like quick bite-sized
Sure,
games to play.
Yeah, okay.
This is why it's nice to have a Switch, because there's a lot of games like that.
Yeah.
For it, but then I'm like, oh, let me play some Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda,
and then you're all
5 hours are gone.
Yep.
I'm like, what happened to time? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so we bought my daughter a Switch for Christmas last year, and I think I play it more than she does.
That seems to be what happens.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, like, same thing, kids wanted a Switch.
Yeah.
Got like Mario Party
Yep.
board and everything.
We
and
got
it's
card.
like, well,
Yep.
Now he's like playing like Metroid or other stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would too. So it's fine.
You're not gonna not play. I mean, that was my childhood. It might, we hooked it up, and she's like, let's play this game, Daddy, and it was Mario Kart, and I'm like, all right, cool. And she's 7 now; she'll be 8 shortly, and I was like, and I just smoked her. I mean, just no mercy whatsoever. My wife's like, really? You feel good about yourself? I was like, this kid's got to learn. Like, Daddy comes from roots. Like, I've been on the streets.
Give it a couple more years. She's gonna have all the shortcuts.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, she's already getting to the point where like she moved up from the mid level to the high level, because I was like, well, you can start at the 50cc and work your way up, and she's already all the way up, and I'm like, all right, the time is coming. So it's been a minute since we played against each other, because I'm not sure that I want to know what's gonna happen.
It's like the old playing basketball with Dad and the driveway thing, where it's like the day that you beat him is the last time you play.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure I want to get to that point, because I just got my son into hockey, and he's 4 now, and it's still fun because he doesn't quite know how to skate yet, and I'm like, boy, that time's gonna come where because I still play, and the time's gonna come where he's better than Dad.
Yeah.
I'll see it before it happens, I think, and I'll be like, we're done. Like, you can play against your friends. I'll be there. I'll come watch, whatever. But we're not playing together anymore.
Yeah. The second you get dangled out of your boots.
Okay. And I'm a goalie, and he, we don't know what he is yet. So I could just picture him, scoring on me, and I'd never live it down. So I'm not going to let that happen.
Especially if he pulls the Michigan trick out.
These kids in their lacrosse moves. That's a different game entirely. All right, so we're doing this thing here. We did it in our last episode, and we're going to continue it. We seem to think it's going to go well. Let's do a hypothetical situation where you're bringing in a friend who's never been to Buffalo. Actually, you're a great example of this, because you're not from here. So you're bringing in a friend from Albany that's never been to Buffalo, doesn't know anything about Buffalo. Where are you taking that person? It doesn't have to be restaurant, nothing specific. So it doesn't have to be anywhere specific.
Okay.
But what is the first thing you're doing when they land off they wouldn't drive. I hope they're not flying
coming
from
in by
Albany.
boat.
Yeah.
Pulling in down a canal side.
When they pull into the dock, where are you going?
When it's something like this, I think you always have to take them someplace you got to go someplace to eat, right?
Sure. Yeah. That seems to be the general consensus.
Right. And for me, it's like, okay, if somebody's like, there's no dietary restrictions or anything like that, it's kind of like, okay, we got to get you a beef on whack.
Yep.
Like, got to get one.
Okay.
And then you got to get wings. So you got to get your best of the both worlds.
So you're going beef on whack first.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very unique approach, but I don't disagree with you.
I'm saying you get both together.
Oh, you're getting them together. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I see what you're saying. So yeah.
So like you go to.
I already know where you're going.
You go to the original bar bill.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Because you get a seat at the bar.
That's
watch the person slicing the roast beef behind the bar, and I always compare it to the scene where in Goodfellas where he's slicing the garlic with the razor blade in jail, and he's like, "This is the perfect way." And I go, "That's exactly what this is." You're just hypnotized by it.
It's mesmerizing.
And then you get the wings are perfect every time.
Yeah.
And then the sandwich is incredible. Like it doesn't get talked about enough about how good their beef on whack is, but it's out of this world good.
So that's a great point, is that because I am also a huge fan, but I didn't used to be. A friend of mine said, have you ever had the little ones, the little beef on whacks? And I said, what are you I didn't even know they had that. Like, I thought it was just a bar, and they had like traditional bar food, whatever. You know? It's like, you have to have one of these. And I had like 4, because they're small enough that you can have 4 and just barely be full. But yeah, that's I think that's the perfect answer. we had a different answer from Zach, but your answer, I think, so far is what my answer would be.
That's based around being able to get both at the same place. Now, other places do have,
but you want both.
But like,
sure,
like either you get your, I mean, if you want like perfect wings, then it's like, okay, go to 911, go there.
Yep.
If you're like in Hamburg, go to like Mimosa's, place like that, like places like that where it's just, if you're just there for wings, just start.
You'll be all right.
And then you can basically do great everywhere in the city.
Pretty much, yeah. You're not going to miss.
Anybody making bad wings here isn't going to be around long.
No.
So, but like if you want the great sandwich and the great wings, then Barbell it's talked about like crazy. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah.
Totally worth it.
And I'm from the South Town, so that was the city for me. What East Aurora was, that was the start of the city when I was a kid. So Barbell was where we went.
Yeah.
Like that was a night out, was East Aurora. So it was nothing for me to think. Like, everybody's like, it's so far away. I'm like, it's really not. It's really not. I drive that far to go home now.
It always feels far away because you live somewhere else, and you're like, well, we could find something.
It's got to
like
be closer,
that, like right here.
Yeah,
Why are we driving that?
Yeah.
Like, I get that because I say the same thing myself too.
Sure.
Because if you're going to East Aurora, I'm always like, make a day of it. Like, you're driving like 3 hours away. Like, we'll make a full day of it.
There's enough to do out there.
There is.
Where you could go to. I know, is Riley Street still? They were closed for a while. I guess it doesn't matter, but we used to go to Riley Street Station and hang out and then go skate the rink or I was there when that first came out. So and that's a great afternoon. Like we take my kids there all the time. They love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's I all right. You got it right. I guess. Completely subjective question. You were absolutely correct. I couldn't agree more. But I'm glad to hear it. All right. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time. We're so happy to have someone of your prestige. I can say. I feel like I should say.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for lending your eyes and ears and writing style to us. But mostly, thank you for coming on and talking with us today. We had a great time, and maybe we'll have you back sometime in the future. We can talk about how the playoffs went.
Yeah, no, listen, that is a date we will set.
Yeah,
that'll be more than worth talking about at that point.
I've got a handful of bets that I don't know if I want to have to cash in on them, but. There's a handful of them that if they make the playoffs, I have to do. So in some of them I shouldn't even probably talk about. But, so I'm hesitant, but I'm also that's how in I am. I'm ready. I'm ready. Is there anything you want to plug? We talked about Noted.
Yeah.
Where are you? Where can you be found for anyone? Like I said earlier, anyone who may not know.
Sure. Yeah, you can. You can find my work at notedhockey.com. Check that out there. Get a pick up a subscription if you'd like. I got mine. Yeah. Free paid. It's fine. Follow along. It's all good.
Yeah.
Also at Bleacher Report, all the NHL pages there. It's easy place to find me there. Social media, you can find me on Twitter, X, whatever we call it today.
It's always going to be Twitter to me.
It's that's the next shirt.
Yeah. It's always Twitter to me. Yeah. Right.
You can find me there. You can find me on Blue Sky as well.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, but I don't really use Facebook. And same thing with Instagram. Like I'm there too, but I'm easy enough to find. I don't think my dad's on any social media, so there's no Joe Yerdon confusion.
Oh, so you're a junior?
I am.
Well, there we go. Little fun fact. That's great to know. All right. Well, Joe, thank you so much again. We're so happy to have you. And we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. As you already know, we talked about it last time. Like, comment, subscribe, rate the show. Any questions or comments you want to make, please feel free to do so. We're so happy you joined us today, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you very much.